Erwin Ollivier, who won our Women at Work Award, is now Ambassador for Gender Equality for 2016. He's the CEO of an organization called PLL, where you've put in a very, I'd say, gender bilingual culture. So I was hoping you'd share with the audience, what is it that you can do to help women with all these obstacles that they're facing, and how can you create the culture to give them the space to grow?
Sure. Not good, thank you. Thank you all. I don't know how many of you followed the elections. It was quite an enlightening process for me. So maybe some of the things you hear you'll have heard before, but hopefully there are some more nuggets in it that you can take home. I'm preaching to the converted, so that's not an issue. But I'm absolutely convinced it all starts at the top. And this may look like a very dated picture, it probably is. But if you look around in the boardrooms, it's probably what you're going to find in lots of companies. It looks a bit gloomy. The only women you would expect there is either somebody bringing coffee or taking notes. And it's quite shocking. Because I think there is a lot of value about bringing gender even up to the boardrooms. And there are a couple of elements I think are very, very important. For me, tone at the top is very important. It's not about the CEO in himself. The CEO has a role model to play, but if any of the board members has a different tune or is not fully buying into the story on gender equality, it undermines the message you give. So for me, when I built my board, I took that very much at heart, and I made sure that everybody that took on board was somebody who believed in the story, that believed in the vision that I had, and that really wanted to promote it and show it and demonstrate it in the way they act. And the role of the CEO is very key, and it was only, in fact, during the selection process and the voting that it became apparent to me how visible I am as a leader of the company. I got feedback from people who voted and we said, oh yes, absolutely, we fully believe, and they gave examples of things they had noticed about gender equality in the company. Even people who left the company and said, yeah, this is still very, very high on my agenda. So I think the role of the CEO is so important that you really have to be very conscious as a general manager about the way you act and the messages you radiate, because they're really magnified through your organization. And if you do anything that has a hint of sexism, or on the opposite side, if you really promote women in your organization, it's used as an excuse or as a signal to say, the CEO doesn't care. Yes, we have this big corporate gender equality programs, but look at what the CEO is doing. It just undermines the message. And then for me, I think that's the theme you've heard through the day, it's not really about gender equality, it's really about gender authenticity. I don't want in my board to have all kinds of women looking like the men on the pictures. Where is the value add? It's really, I want a different mix. I want people who feel authentic, who can be mothers, they can be wives, they can be women, men, fathers, whatever. They can be what they are, and they can act like it without playing a role. Because I believe once you start to play a role, it costs you a lot of energy, and you end up in where you are. And that's all that energy you put up in playing a role, it's energy you can't use to do your job properly. This is how my board looks like. And yes, there's a little gender imbalance, I agree. They're all handpicked. How did that come together? In fact, when 4 years ago, DLL had two operational entities, DLL and Athlon. Both had their own boards, and they brought them together in one new board, and I was elected to be the general manager of both. The two boards combined had about 9 people, of which one was a woman. But they gave me the possibility to start from a blank sheet of paper and just rebuild my entire board, and this is the result. And this result is just by focusing on a couple of things: really quality, ethical standards, and the ability to think and to be flexible in the way we want to move forward. And I'm very pleased that we've been very successful, and I have to admit, it was a bit over there because we did this exercise across Europe in all of the countries. I was the only company, or I was the only entity where we had more than one woman in the board. And most of them had none or just one. That's changing in the meantime. So, apparently I've been inspirational. But I have to admit, I also had my aha moments throughout my career. I think that's very important because it brought me to where I am today, or where I was 4 years ago. But it's about this. It's the difference between knowing and understanding. Yes, many men know that we need to have more women in the organization. Yes, we know that women can make a career, that they may be excellent CEOs. Why doesn't it happen? And then there's always millions of reasons to blame the others or to say, there's not a lot that I can do. So a lot of my own aha moments had to do with really understanding why things turned out differently for many women than they turned out for men. Let me share a couple of them with you. I'm the youngest of a family of 4, 3 sisters. I had a very strong, I wouldn't say dominant, but a mother with a strong opinion. I have 3 sisters with strong opinions. I'm happily married with a wife with a strong opinion again, so there is a pattern. I have 2 daughters also with strong opinions, and I really appreciate that. So I can say I have a general neutral education, and I really appreciate women who speak up, who say what they have to say without being feeling offended or attacked by that. And yet, even I fell into the traps of the gender society. Because when we got married and we got kids, and I built my career, my wife had her own career, I got so enthused by the job I was doing and the things I was, the opportunities I got, that I just kept on working, and I kept on working, and of course my wife could pick up the kids, and of course she could look for, make sure that they had a decent meal. And then I had the opportunity to work abroad, 18 months in Dublin, and actually had a decent job in Europe, over here in Brussels. We had a long discussion and we agreed that I would commute. I would travel on Monday, come back on Friday. Great, good opportunity. The kids were 5 and 7 at that moment. And I did very well. And in the weekends I was all there for the family, so they could decide. I lost my privilege on the remote control of the TV at that moment. I've never gained it back since then. So the weekend was their time, and I really committed to the family. Until one morning, I left again for the airport, and my oldest daughter started to cry. And she said, well, you're never there in the week, you're never there when we come back from school. And it was such an eye-opening moment for me at that moment, because I didn't even realize, I haven't even realized that I thought I was doing everything I could for the family, build a career, make give financial security, etc. And the kids didn't see it that way. And with the others it came, I decided at that moment that I wanted to quit my international job and return to Belgium, which I did. But with my youngest daughter, she was 9 at that moment, it took until 2 years ago before we really got back on track with one another. So it took us almost 11 years to regain all the relationship moments I missed over those 2 years. And I think now we have a good understanding, but at that moment I said, this is a price I want no one of my management team that I'm responsible for, I want no one to pay the price. And that was a very important aha moment. And one of the messages my wife always keep on repeating, and she can't keep on repeating it enough, is never take it for granted. And I really cherish it, because yes, it's easy that she can pick up the kids when I have an international meeting. It's good that she thinks the family is so important that she wants to be there when they have an issue, but never take it for granted. So she really makes sure that I do appreciate that also for her it's an effort, and also for her it's a commitment to the family. And I think that's a message that I like to give also to the men in my surrounding and the men in my team, that watch out for pitfalls and for the natural patterns where you think it's easy. It's not. Everybody makes a sacrifice and a choice to make. And then the last aha moment was a story about Catherine and Maddox, the ones who were in the jury heard it. When I built my boards, I had an ideal candidate in my own organization, which was a middle manager, very strong, very broad experience, very ambitious also, and she didn't apply for the job. So the weeks passed by, and kinds of candidates, but she never applied. So I picked up the phone and called her and said, hey, Katrine, so you know there is a posting? Yes, I know there is a posting. I'm very surprised you didn't apply. She said, well, I have to bring you some news. I'm pregnant. Congratulations, I was very happy. So I said, congratulations, I'm very happy for you. That's good to hear. We chatted a bit and I said, so when are you going to apply? But Erwin, maybe you didn't listen to the message. I'm pregnant. Yes. And then it dawned to me that she looked at the world differently than I did. Because for me, I didn't see the issue, but she said, no, I want to be a perfect mother. And it's going to be an excellent career opportunity, but it's going to be very demanding. I also want to be a perfect director in the company. I can't combine this. I see the world differently, so let's discuss. And we had about 30 minutes chatting on the phone on how I could help her being a perfect mother while being a member of my board. And the day after she applied, and she got the job. So that's a nice story. But it was really another eye-opening moment for me, where I think no man would ever think, well, my wife's pregnant, I'm not going to get the job. So, you know, those elements that help me see the world as it is and try to build a different reality. I wanted my company to be not a male-dominated organization. I really wanted to tilt the reality and say, I want to get rid of all the old patterns and the old way of thinking, and I want to bring in a different reality, bring in the female touch, and make sure that men and women feel equal and feel appreciated for what they are and how they are. So we took a three-pronged approach. The first one is really challenge the status quo, and I'll come into detail on that one. The second one is really reach out and make sure that yes, women sometimes need a little push in the back, like I did with Katrine, and make sure that they feel confident and take the step. And then the third one is really eliminate the hidden thresholds, because for me that's the most difficult ones. The two earlier ones are the ones that many companies do. The third one is the one where really it drags women down, and it's very hard to overcome if you don't see it as a general matter. So challenge the status quo. Well, on the recruitment process, we really we push on having gender balance throughout the entire process. I ideally want men and women in the final stage of the process to make sure that we have equal candidates. Does it work in all ways? No. Because we always go for the best candidates. So I don't compromise on quality because of gender numbers or whatever. At the end of the day, I have to run a company, I have a P&L responsibility, I want the best people in my team. But I'm sure there are a lot of qualitative women around there, you just have to find them and to see them. Even if the final decision is taken, my HR department makes sure that they channel, if it's not women, they want to challenge the decision of the general manager. I want to make sure that there is no gender bias within my middle managers or within my senior executives, and make sure that when HR gives a go and says, yes, this is the best candidate, it is the best candidate. And it's not the best candidate because it's a male manager who decides that it is the best candidate. So we want to work for the candidate that really adds the most to the company. We break down the gender pattern. What does it mean? It's again, it's the image you radiate. Our personal assistants, they don't bring coffee. They don't bring the drinks into the meeting. We as senior managers, we do that ourselves. I even empty the dishwasher. So we have a new way of working environment. Everybody brings his cups to the dishwasher and cleans them up. I do that as well as anyone else. It's not only gender, it's also about hierarchy in the organization. Everybody is equal, and those are messages that are very strong and very visible to the organization. And it really helps in breaking down the gender pattern, which is often an excuse to stick to the traditional way of thinking. And then salary alignment, because you can talk a lot about gender equality, but in reality there is still, if you look at promotions, that's one thing, but if you look at financial promotions, that's another thing. Mm-hmm. And as we've heard before, women don't go to the boss and say, I want a raise, men do. So we want to make sure that people with equal jobs get equal pays. And 3 years ago, we did a salary adjustment We only had a limited budget available. We agreed with the Works Council. Then we would use that for everyone who was below the midpoint of the salary grade. By definition, most of them were. We did an analysis in November of last year together with the Works Council, which demonstrated that today we have equal pay for equal roles throughout the company, irrespective of the gender of the people. And then what I've always did in my career is to act within your authority and you will inspire outside. I don't want to be Joan of Arc. I think it's important to inspire others. I don't want to be the little one with the finger pointing to others and saying what you're doing is wrong, if it's not within my remit of control. So everyone who works for me, I want to make sure that I encourage them and I inspire them to work on gender authenticity and really enforce it if it is required. Everyone outside my area of responsibility, I want to just inspire by the stories we bring, but also by the results we bring. And one of the great compliments, if you look at Europe today, within DLL, we have now in a couple of countries already more than 2 or 3 women on board. That's not the case in the rest of the company, so there is still some work to do. But my European colleagues are my direct peers, so I have more inspirational impact there than I have in the rest of the organization. And my Italian peer, he talks to me as, oh, you're my hero, you are, so that's very kind, but he even did a whole promotion inside his own company to vote for me on the award. But it shows how inspiring the story can be even for a macho culture like Italy. I was very pleased by that. That's the blind and the chained. I don't spend a lot of time to the deaf because they really don't want to hear it. And you will never be able to change them. So I try to focus my energy on people where I can, whom I can impact. And if you come across somebody who's really obsessed with, they're there for coffee, whatever, and the kids, if they don't want to hear, they don't want to hear. Don't waste your energy. The blinds is that's another story. A lot of the people, once you start to show them what the mechanisms are and why the things are that they are, they're really open to it, and they if they start to see it, then the next important step comes. That's what I call the chain here. It's, but there's nothing I can do. Yes, of course there's a lot that you can do. There is, even within your own remit, there is a lot you can do to change attitude and to change the mentality. And it's really showing those people what are the things you can put in place, and that's what I've done in my organization, and that's the story I try to bring to other companies to show that it's not rocket science. There's a lot of little practical rules and different things to do. Just look at the world in a slightly different way, and there are a lot of doors that you can open to other people in your organization. So what's the second way we take? That's reach out. Talk to female employees, which I try to do a lot. It's really understanding what are the obstacles you come across. What is making your life difficult within my company? If you look at what is important for you within your organization. And one of the things I found there, which I thought was very interesting, I believe there are 3 areas in which you get energy, and then I come back to your point. Because you need energy to thrive, you need energy to be happy in your life. You do activities in your work, you do activities in your family, and you do what I call me time. You go to the sports club, or you read a bit, or you sleep, or whatever. You get energy out of all those 3 areas, or or they can suck energy out of you. Like if it's work, if it's stress, and there is a big dossier, and it's not going as well, it drains energy. If at home you're just doing the routine work, the kids are nagging, and or one of them is ill, or your relationship is going through a rocky period, that's draining energy. If you don't sleep well at night, or you have a lot of worries, even your me time is draining energy. And what I found throughout my career is that men and women act differently. Because when you make a career, at a certain point you get into a squeeze. You can't manage the 3 areas as a harmonious area. What women do, the first thing they sacrifice is the me time. They're going to cater for the kids and the family, and they're going to try to do a good job at work. men take different decisions. I took different decisions. The first thing is men sacrifice in general is family time. They still go to the sports club. They make sure they look in shape because the wife's going to look for the kids anyway. And the last thing they will sacrifice is probably their professional time. It's very important to be aware of that as a manager, because it also explains why things are as they are. Because one of the areas where women are very, very good in is in being efficient in managing their time. If they want to balance work life and family life, they're going to be as efficient as possible in their work to be sure that they can pick up the kids at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But they will probably do as much as the man who's staying until 6 o'clock in the evening, but having a chat in the meantime, do some networking internally. It's very important to understand and to see that, and to encourage those people that it's fine to leave at 4. If the job is done, then what's the issue? It's a very difficult message to bring to traditional managers, because it's the number of hours you put on the floor which are important. We've done away with that, so number of hours done is absolutely not a criteria. Talent management. Identify who your talents are. We really have a proactive approach to see who are all the valuable people in our organization. Whether men or women, it doesn't matter. We really want to see who are the important elements, but also groom them. And groom them means that also you put them on the podium when it's required. If there is an interesting project or there is a high visibility opportunity that's coming by, we actually proactively step to people and we ask them if they want to join, if they're interested in picking up that opportunity, because we know it's a high visibility opportunity. And yes, within Belgium, you don't need to be on the podium to try, but there is a world outside of that. And for them, it's good to be also on the podium. So with a little push, they pick up the opportunity. We discuss with them how they can manage again their priorities, but give them the chance to get in the spotlight. And then within the company, we organize mentoring weeks across the world, where in mixed teams, people could come together and get coached by a senior manager in the organization. I took a different route in Belgium, and I introduced female mentoring weeks, with the one ambition that I thought it would be very useful to have in the mentoring wings women of different levels in the organization. So we have always a junior, a middle manager, a senior manager, and then I try to be the mentor to give the male perspective without being, how would I say, with having an open mind on how they look differently as well. And the idea there is really to help them understand some of the hidden dynamics and what they should watch out for, like the pitfalls in the way you build your career. And very interesting discussions, and the feedback from the husbands is not always positive. Because lately, one of the members of the mentoring wing, she had agreed with her husband that the next week she would be out for an international meeting, so he had to take care of the kids. And then at the end of the week, he came home and said, "I have an urgent international meeting." She said. And normally she would then start to organize taking care of the kids. Who would take care of the kids? And she said, "So what are you going to do about it?" "Aren't you supposed to?" And so it came a whole discussion, and she stuck to her guns, which was quite a stretch for her, because she would normally take up the role and get it organized. But in the end, he picked it up. So it again comes to never take it for granted. Make sure you get your message across every now and then. And I'm sure as we grow as an organization, we grow as a society, those are the things that you need to put on the table to make sure that people start to see where things go wrong, not because they wanted to go wrong, but just because it's the habits and the patterns and the differences in the priorities between men.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Are you the only man joining that mentoring wing?
For the moment, yes, because it's in a limited setting. But there could be others. I have, if you look at 2 other board members, they certainly do have the same open
But just
mind.
because we have in PNG also those lunches
Yes.
where we had only women,
Yeah.
and then we picked up some specific topics, subject to discuss,
Yeah.
and we invite men,
Mhm.
and the effect of hearing some stuff
Yeah.
that all or most of the men are aware of, but they are not aware, is really shocking for them. And you know that
For the men or
shock-
for the women?
for the women. And that shock is also important for them to realize that this is really happening. Because you seem to be more engaged and you understand, but sometimes you know the real facts that some people are talking, thinking some crazy stuff that you wouldn't imagine. Like women don't go in that role because they don't support stress or stuff like that.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I don't like the confrontational approach because you put people in camps, and I think
You have balanced feedback, right? But sometimes you wouldn't imagine that it's really happening.
oh yes, I would. No, I can imagine very well. If I look at my own boss, he's very male-dominated. He thinks all the things I do is fluffy. As long as I read my P&L, it's fine with him. But that's reality, and I can do the things I do because we have good numbers, and I'm convinced that I have good numbers because I have a different company. And I'm sure one day I'll convince him that there is a lot of fruit out there.
But the award you had is in some way
Absolutely.
his own award,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. And he was very proud of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He was very proud of it. Yeah. No, in fact, it was celebrated by all of my peers in Europe. So they were all very proud of it because they thought it radiated on the company also, which is exactly what you want.
And these external status things like awards tend to work really well for men.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Can I ask a question back to
Sure.
the previous slide? And congratulations on the award, by the way.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing your story. You mentioned the salary alignment and the
Yeah.
fact that you worked really hard to make sure that there's equal pay for equivalent work. Does your company, and how do you deal with part-time work? Because what I can see is that people who choose, and
Yeah.
there's a discussion on whether they choose it voluntarily or not, but that's another discussion. But people who choose part-time working are penalized for that in one way or another in their career, in the number of promotions they get, in terms of ratings, bonuses, etc. In reality, the majority of those employees are women, so that it has a negative effect on women's career. Is that something that is taken up in your company as well? And do you have any ideas to share on that?
We look at salary based on full-time employment. So if you go for part-time, yes, you sacrifice part of your salary. That's a reality. It goes for men as for us for women. We also do have men who take up part-time roles. It's not a limitation to your career. In fact, I'm convinced that in the future, companies, for me, it's a matter of resilience within your organization. The more part-timers I have, with a long-term commitment, the more, if I can find the right balance between people who are able in organizing themselves flexibly around part-times, it allows me to get trained people in a job and ramp up very quickly and ramp down quickly. So for me, it's more an opportunity than a threat, but it's a different mindset. If you talk to managers, you talk to my boss, they all see job as a full-time equivalent. I'm absolutely convinced that there is a much more opportunity in going the other route. But it's a gradual process as we move. Mothers welcome. Well, I told you the story about Catherine, but last year we had the same experience. We did external recruitment. We found an ideal candidate. She was female, and she made it till the last cut. And we decided to hire her. And then she called back and said, "Well, but I'm pregnant, and I'm afraid to make the step. And I have now security and all this and that." So again, we stepped out. We reached out to her and said, "Let's have a discussion." But after that, she reviewed she decided on a position. She joined afterwards. She worked for us for 3 months, and then she went into pregnancy, 3-4 months, and then she went into pregnancy. Those are the really powerful messages in your organization. The amount of people we had from that, people who make a promotion, people who get who can join the company while they're in pregnancy, where you know that after 4 or 5 months they're going to be out for 3 months or 4 months or 5 months, whatever they decide. Those are the really powerful messages, but it has a lot of value. I'll come to that later on. And then eliminate the hidden thresholds, which is the third way. In the discussions with Katrine, when I wanted to convince her to step into the role and become part of my board, there were a couple of agreements we made, and one of them was really the key meeting time window. Any meeting where we had important decisions to take would never start before 9:30 in the morning and would be finished at 4 o'clock at the latest. To make sure that she could always take care of the kids, drop them if that was required, or go and pick them up if that was required. Then it gave us such a peace of mind. I can't describe it, but it is probably the decision that really made a difference between going for the job, yes or no. And how she managed around it, I don't know. It's up to her to organize her life and make sure that she still delivers on the job. But having the certainty that we will never meet planned meetings outside of that time window, and if anything runs out, that her interest will be taken care of by her peers is very, very important. That is a key element. We don't have a hero culture. I don't know if you ever witnessed when somebody gets when a man gets a prize, he grabs the mic, comes to the podium, he grabs the mic. Occasionally he also thanks the team, but he's still there in the spotlight and claiming all the attention. When a woman gets an award, she calls the team up to the podium, she takes a step back, and she lets the team enjoy the reward of the company. That's why we don't have a hero culture. What we try to do, in fact, is create kind of a silent hero culture, where we pick out people who are acting below the radar, but are doing a hell of a job. And we put them at the podium at certain intervals to make sure that people see that they are recognized, and that it's not about the go-kart story. It's really about how much you add to the company, whether it's high visibility or low visibility. Everybody works in his own way, and we should reward everybody for the way he acts, especially if he contributes to the company. Kids always go first is another rule we have. Whatever happens, if something happens with the kids, you can drop everything you do and you go. You don't have to explain. And what happens? Well, when something is wrong at school, they always call the mother, because that's natural, isn't it? Well, we see things changing in our country, and we see that even the men start to step up and say, sorry, I have to go. Something wrong with the kids at school, my wife called me, she can't go, I have to go. That's fine. Those are the things that create different atmosphere. And you suddenly see that there is a change in mentality. It's not a competition anymore, because if I'm not there, then it's been seen as a negligence, or I'm not interested in the job. No, it's just part of, we are all mothers and fathers, so we should all take care of everything that's dear to us.
Next time we will call them fathers first.
That's fine with me. And if they call the fathers, then maybe I'll do my bit on the feminism side for the wives of the fathers. But that's the next point. It's really mothers should be mothers and fathers should be fathers. I also want my the men in my company to act like fathers and not automatically think that it's their wife who should take care of all the things. And all this is just because I've gone through all the other things of the traditional pitfalls that I told you before. And that's a long road, and it's a stretch. I had one of my board members, a man who absolutely last summer wanted to scale down and go to part-time for 20%, or only take up 80%, because I wanted to spend more time during the holidays with his kids. I discussed it internally, I discussed it with HR on the international level, we all agreed, and in the end he didn't. he didn't do it because he thought my boss would see it as a sign of negligence. So I do fail sometimes in what I try to achieve, but I'm sure that it's just a matter of time before that's becoming a practice. But there are also on the male side there are obstacles to really become to really act as fathers. There was a whole debate in the Standard 1 week ago about parental leave and how much and should we make it compulsory also for the men, etc. I have very mixed feelings on it because at the end of the day, as I said, I have a P&L to manage. Every holiday that we top on from the existing holidays is just a burden, and Belgium is really not well positioned on the salary competition. So what we do is we sell holidays. People with their bonus, they have the opportunity to buy 5 additional holidays during the year. And as pregnancy is often planned, that's assumed, you can plan in advance whether you need the additional holidays. But it's a nice way to not hit the P&L and still give the people the possibility to cater for additional holidays if they really like to.
Is that something that is used a lot?
It is used quite often, yes. It really depends on and we don't need explanations whether somebody wants to do it just because he wants more time for himself or it's for the kids or whatever. I would say it's about 50% of the employees use it.
Both men and women?
Both men and women, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
But you're talking about 5 extra days, right?
Yes.
So we're not talking about like
No,
6
it's not
weeks
you.
of parental leave. Yeah. Yeah.
Evaluate an output and impact. And that's a very important one. So many companies evaluate the presence. And the longer hours you do, the better you're working. I'm questioning it. If you're doing long hours, I question whether you're really efficient at your work. But it's still a habit. I used to work for a company where the boss stayed until 8 o'clock, and he left at 8, and at 8:05 everybody was gone. But until 8 o'clock everybody was busy. So I don't mind where people leave. And the rule is really when your job is done, you can go. Because it's what you do and your impact on the organization, which is more important. That means that you also have to measure that. So it's much more about measuring outputs, KPIs, focusing on output, and also make sure that people don't get frustrated. Because I had in one of my teams a very, very efficient woman, and at 3:30 she has her job was done because she was just incredibly efficient. Well, at 3:30 she could go. And that's very frustrating for the colleagues. But if that's the choice she made, she could also go for a career and say, I want to do additional things, and whatever, that was also fine. But we always make sure the rest sees the value of the way people work and how much they contribute to the company and not how much time they spend in the company. Zero tolerance for sexism. As I said, whenever leadership is very important. Whenever we come across something that hints to sexism, we try to, or we act very clear, we give very clear messages. It doesn't mean that there can't be humor. Yes, humor is sometimes a bit sexistic. Whatever. And sometimes it's a difficult balance between the two, but the message is very clear, and I don't think, I think we do a pretty good job. Flex work and part-time. We have new way of working. We have created a very family-like environment. So many new way of working environments are almost like showrooms, very clean, very cold. We've created an environment that is very cozy and warm and homey. We even have a fireplace in our company. So it's really creating that environment where people like to come to work and feel that they come to work. They come home rather than come to work. But flex work is one of the elements that they have, and again, we try and strike the right balance. Sick leave. We used to have the obligation to have a doctor's notice when you were more than 1 day sick. we skipped that 2 years ago. We said unless you're more than 5 days ill, you don't need a doctor's notice, because if you don't want to come to work, you always find a doctor who writes a note, shows the prison situation for the moment. So the only one who gets better from it is the doctor, and it creates a whole burden for the employees. And it's a matter of trust also. The message to the employees is we trust you. We make sure that you don't abuse. But we also took the syndical partners in that regard and said, this is our proposal. If you agree and we see an abuse, you will be the ones who are going to address it. I don't want to be the manager that is going to say to people, you are ill too often. And they pick up that role. We had one instance in a team where we had an abuse. They went to see the team and said, you're jeopardizing this benefit for the entire company just by not being conscious of how you act on sickness leave. And it works. So again, that's part of, imagine if whenever something happens with your kid, you have to justify, or your kid is ill, or the whole situation about getting organized, etc. All that is part of this philosophy of making sure that people can combine family life and work life.
Did
Yes.
you see a difference with the number of sick days
Yeah.
before? Is it up or down? Or?
It dropped. It dropped from 4.7 to almost 3.7, so with almost 1%. And the reason is that if you're ill on a Monday, your doctor writes you till the end of the week. If you're ill on a Monday, you don't have to go to the doctor and you feel well on Wednesday, you can work. But if you have a big doctor's notice until Friday, you can't go to work. You can't even allow them to go to work. So it's not a matter of abuse, it's just a very pragmatic way of looking at reality. Respect school holidays and exam periods. School holidays in many cases companies do. They do. Internationally, it's always a bit more challenging, but exam periods is an area which is as important. I think as families, as fathers and mothers, we want to be there when the kids have a tough time. I'm amazed about the amount of meetings that are organized, international meetings that are organized, a couple of days off in the middle of exam periods. So whenever we try to organize something in Belgium, we try to stay out of that area. It doesn't always work. I can't control the entire environment, but it's one thing I always put on the agenda with my peers also. Make sure that if you organize something, don't do it in holidays, don't do it in exam periods, and your employees will be thankful. Now you have to convince your boss because you see a lot of ladies around the room, but the CEO is always somebody who needs to be convinced. What I see is what we've created in our company is really a unique culture, and we use it as an employer brand. We put it on a website, we recruit, we talk about male and female messaging in the recruitment. We don't do that consciously, but with the message we give and the way we position ourselves as a company, not only do we get much stronger candidates than we got before. We're traditionally competing with the banks, and we can't pay what the banks pay. We used to have to do with the B players and then pay them a ridiculous salary. Now we get the A players, I wouldn't say for free, but at a decent salary. People join us because of the culture and because of the message and because of the total story that it's on, and not just for the job. So it really works, and we cut our recruitment budget in half. Increased employee satisfaction. In the 4 years, we measure every 2 years, it has increased with 10%. From 3 years ago to last year, the commitment of our employees to the company rose from just below 70, I think 69 or 70 to 82%, which is very high. We were the highest in our entire company across the world. Which for me was a signal that the message we bring is really very powerful, because it also means if your employees are satisfied, they won't go. And in fact, that's a reality. We see few people leaving the company unless there is a nice opportunity coming by. We can't offer a career to everyone. And if somebody has a nice opportunity, then it's good for her. Or increased employee loyalty is a logical conclusion of that. Increased resilience also, because if people feel that they are in balance, that they don't have to struggle with their private life and their work, etc., then they are much more resilient, and you have a more healthy population. So we also put a lot of energy and investment in make sure people feel healthy at work, putting food at their disposition, healthy foods, exercising, etc. So it's a full package. And one of the things CEOs often tend to forget, it's nice to have good products, but if you have satisfied customers, you really need satisfied employees or happy employees. And it's a combination of both that really makes a powerful message. And that's a very strong message and something that we also see in the results. Because we do year after year, we see our results improve. And of course, it's from a personal point of view, it's a very enriching experience. And if you, as a CEO, you're open to see it and you want to see it, and you start to do the things that we started to do, there's so much you can get. You can't imagine. You just feel a better person. Thank you.
From a timing perspective, what I'd suggest is we take a little break. I'll show you where the bathrooms are if anyone needs them. We grab a cup of coffee, there's desserts over there, and then maybe we can bring them back. And I forgot to go around the round table and get everyone to introduce themselves, but maybe we can go around the table now and you can